Welcome to 412 Sports Talk, the number one podcast for Pittsburgh sports. Steelers, we talk it. Penguins, we talk it. Pirates, yeah, we talk it. With the biggest guests.
Bob Pompiani, Pittsburgh legend. Mayor Bill Peduto, the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh, is on with us.
Doran Dickerson, West Allegheny legend.
Greg Essex, welcome.
Available on iTunes and Spotify. Hosted by Mad Chad Nolan.
Over too much. Well, now he's not turning it over at all.
And Eddie Provident.
We've got the best team in football.
And now, 412 Sports Talk.
All right, well, welcome back to the 412 Sports Talk podcast. As always, I am your host, Eddie Provident, and with me is my co-host and my main man, Mad Chad Nolan. Mad Chad is, I think he's going to be next in line to be the either a scout or the general manager or something for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because it doesn't look like this front office is wanting to do a whole lot in free agency. And let's just jump right into it, Chad. What's your thoughts on the lack of movement so far this offseason?
I mean, it's typical Steelers. You know, it's not like they have a ton of cap space, so I'm going to give them that.
Right.
But yesterday, when I saw that Tyson Alualu, who was fantastic last year as their nose tackle, signed a $3 million per year deal with the Jaguars, that's money that they had. And now they just created a need on top of the needs they already had. Like, that's one. I look at that, and even the Hilton one, like Hilton signed for a decent amount of money, but they still had money. They had money to re-sign Hilton and Alualu. And then if you re-sign those guys, to me, your defense outside of maybe adding some depth at linebacker is kind of set. But now they definitely have a need for defensive tackle. I mean, they have nobody on this roster that has started more than like a game or two at nose tackle. And that nose tackle position is not exactly like the easiest thing in the world to do. It's kind of a weird, it's like changed. Like Alualu's not even a real, like, by definition nose tackle. He's more like a 3 technique guy. And they kind of converted to that. So they don't have anybody set to replace him. They still need a center. I really hope they don't think that they're going into the season with BJ Finney's fine, but to me, he's just a depth guy.
Exactly. And
then that Hausenauer dude sucks. I don't care what anybody says. That dude sucks. I'd rather have you at center.
I had this exact back and forth with Derek this week, where I am comfortable if BJ Finney and Chooks and I guess Hausenauer are depth guys. You know, if those are your depth guys, I'm cool with that. But they need to address center, and they need to address one of the tackles. And I assume that they're going to address the tackle position through the draft with the amount of tackles that are available.
And they were like, oh, they're going to bring back Villanueva.
Yeah, they can't bring back Villanueva, man. There's no way in the world.
He's gotten worse every year. He had a good 2017. He was really good in 2017. He was okay in 18. Then, you know, last year, 19, his play started to go down a little bit. And then last year, so he's only going to get worse. He's getting older. And the money that they're going to pay him, just draft, that tackles a position. This draft is, I mean, if you go by what all the scouts say, this draft is loaded with tackles.
Right. And
so that's one with those first 2 picks should be an offensive. One of those first 2 picks should be an offensive tackle.
And I honestly, I wouldn't be upset if they went, you know, tackle center or, you know.
Well, so I'm on BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, and they do have cap space, and there are 3 guys that have been what most would consider quality starting centers. David Andrews from the Patriots, Nick Martin, who's been on free agency for a while now, so it's not like he's probably going to command a ton of money. If anything, he might be on like a prove it deal or something like that. If they can sign one of those, they either need to sign a center, a tackle, or a defensive tackle, because there's just too many. The draft's not going to fill all those needs. For one thing, the draft pick's not even a guarantee that that player is going to be any good or work out. So you can't just be like, well, yeah, we'll just draft a defensive tackle. What if he sucks? Or what if,
right.
you know? So center, and center's a tough one to me too. It's not every day that you draft a guy and just from that spot he's like, yep, we have he's a good center. Like, that's a big risk. I'd rather maybe take a flyer on a Nick Martin or an Austin Reeder, and that way you don't have to worry about center in a draft. Or
100% with you. Yep.
Or at the very least, you don't have to worry about it with your first 3 picks because they still need a running back too.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I want to see them go, offensive line in the first round. I know, again, we've talked about this over and over. That's not the sexy pick. That's not, I know a lot of people want to see a running back in the first round. Some people have them trading up to get a quarterback in the first round. Like that's not what they need right now. They need an offensive line. And, we've said this before, and I know we're not the only ones to have said it. They can draft a quarterback, and they could play a young quarterback over Ben if they wanted to. They could do all of that.
That would be a disaster, though.
But it doesn't. No, the point I'm making with that is it doesn't matter who is at quarterback if this offensive line isn't right. And for them to bring Ben back, even on the restructured deal and even on the discount that Ben is coming back on, to give him an offensive line that is as good or worse than it was last year, they might as well just cut Ben. They might as well have just cut him. I mean, you're going to get him hurt, or he's going to be throwing, 55 times a game again because we can't block for the run, and all of those passes are going to be 2 and 3 yard slants again. It doesn't make any sense to not address the offensive line through free agency in the draft. I don't understand why they haven't done it yet other than BJ Finney, and I don't understand what their game plan is.
I'm going to ask DK this, but I'll ask you this real quick. So I'm looking at the cap, right? They have some cap space, but okay, so they brought back Cam Sutton. That's good, right? So now they have Sutton, Nelson, and Hayden, but then they let Alu go. Assuming they don't sign a known name at defensive tackle or edge or whatever, now I think in hindsight, I'm a huge Joe Hayden fan. I love Joe Hayden. I was so excited. He's been so good. He's been one of the corners that they've needed, but he's getting up there in age. He was hurt last year, and I'm almost thinking, okay, would you rather have Joe Hayden and Cam Sutton, or would you rather have Cam Sutton, Mike Hilton, and then also bring back Tyson Alu if that was the scenario that was brought to them? Like, they can't have all those guys. I'm almost thinking I would have rather parted ways with Hayden, or at least asked Hayden to do a restructure or something like that, if they thought they couldn't afford to get a center and Alu. When I watched that defense, if you go back to the season, you watch that defense, as big as the Dupree and Bush injuries were, the Ravens game is the game that at Baltimore is the game that Alu got hurt in. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't the same after that. That run defense started to suffer immediately.
Yeah, the Alu thing for me, I guess I'm torn because I would have loved to see him come back. But it sounds like it was a little bit more of a personal reason for him to go to Jacksonville than it was money related. So I don't know that the Steelers really could do anything about that.
He wanted to go back to Jacksonville?
It sounds like it had something to do with family, being closer to family. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember we talked about that last week where we don't have that information available.
So I saw one article that hinted at that. So that
it says it right here. Yeah. Yep.
So I'm not gonna knock the Steelers for Alu. It would have been nice to have him, but it sounds like he just wasn't going to be in the picture regardless. The one for me though is I know that I know this wasn't going to happen, but not having Mike Hilton and Cam Sutton really was that hurt for me, because I think that the way both of them played added a ton to that secondary, and I almost would rather have Mike Hilton over Joe Hayden. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I just think that there's more upside with Mike Hilton.
Yeah, Hilton's younger, so I mean, there's probably a really good chance that Hayden's not on his team next year.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
So then
I think he's in the last year of his contract anyway.
Yeah, he is. So then you would have just been set. You would have had Hilton and Sutton and Nelson, and then at that point, maybe all you need is a dime cornerback, and that's it.
Yeah, I just don't understand a lot of the moves.
But they need an inside linebacker. They need an outside linebacker. They need a center. They need a tight end. They need now Juju's gone. They're going to need a receiver. They have so many needs. Like I said, the draft's not going to handle all that.
Yeah, it's going to be, excuse me, it's going to be hard to fill all of this. And, I mean, it's going to be a flawed team going into the season no matter what. So
We'll see what DK says about that, though.
We're going to have, as you alluded to and you just said right now, we're going to have DK on in a couple of minutes. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll get to DK from DK Pittsburgh Sports. And this is the 412 Sports Talk podcast brought to you by MCM Studios. We'll be right back. Hey, 412 Sports Talk family, what's going on? It's your guy, Eddie P. I'm sitting in MCM Studios right now with our sponsor, my man Mike Hitt. Mike, what's going on, brother?
What's up, bro? 412 Sports Talk Podcast, Pittsburgh, PA. What is up?
What we're doing is, we're a local podcast. We talk Pittsburgh sports. We're completely supported by people that are either from Pittsburgh or have ties to Pittsburgh. And even our sponsor, MCM Studios, is over in Allentown, in the heart of the city of Pittsburgh. But I wanted to bring you into the studio so you could see what Mike's got going on, and you can see a little bit of, what happens behind the scenes here at MCM Studios. Mm-hmm. So, Mike, what are you working on right now, man?
I'm working with always a stable of talented artists. Whether they're from Pittsburgh, they come to Pittsburgh to come to MCM Studios, they move here from out of town, whatever the case may be, a young, old, guy, girl, pop, rock, reggae, R&B, trap music. I just work with a lot of guys that need the love and the attention and the direction in order to get their sound and their business together and their whole artistry, in a position that is the quality and the vision that they were looking for. I kind of just helped them bring all that together. So they're like, oh, or I would have been lost for the next 3 years if you wouldn't have said, hey, go do this, or sing your song like this, or write a song like this, or this is a good look for you as an artist. That's really what MCM Studios does, and what I have going on is just continually helping artists. If they get famous, they get famous. If they don't, they don't. But just helping them along on this artistic journey so they can look back, and it felt like it was worth it.
Yes. I know how much it means to be a musician and need that backup. And I'll be honest with you, Mike has been a big part of the business side of 412 Sports Talk and how much we've grown as a business too. Helping us with the legal side of things, giving us all the tips that he's learned in 10, 11 years of business. So, like I said, I just wanted to get you guys to take a look at the studio, hear it from Mike himself, and just get a little bit of the behind the scenes of one of our sponsors, our first sponsor, MCM Studios. And you can check them out at 412mcmstudios.com. You can check them out on Facebook at MCM Studios Pittsburgh. Check Mike out on Twitter at Mike Hitman with 2 T's. Let's build this Pittsburgh community because there's a lot of cool people, a lot of talented people, and a lot of great things going on in the city. Mike, you got anything else to leave them with?
Support the people around you that are doing cool things. If you can see that they're serious and they're dedicated and they're putting the time and they're making the investment in themselves, at least make, at the very minimum, the investment of believing in them. That's what I did for 412 Sports Talk Podcast. That's what I do at the studio with the artists. Just look at your life as one big investment, and I really think by doing that, we can all help bring everybody around us up.
So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed this little mini tour. We'll be back with stuff like this. In the meantime, again, I'm Eddie Provident. From Mad Chad Nolan, from my man Mike Hitt. We'll catch you later.
Peace.
All right, welcome back to the 412 Sports Talk Podcast, brought to you by MCM Studios. I'm Eddie Provident. With me, as always, is my host, Chad Nolan. And with us today is our guest, DK, from DK Pittsburgh Sports, Dejan Kovacevic, one of the Pittsburgh legends of the sports world. What's going on, DK? And I got to shout out the Green Lantern.
Grossly overstated, first of all. The legend literally in the equation is GL, who has been left out of the Zack Snyder cut. My understanding is that it's not his fault. Like, that he went to the studio and said that he was okay. He wanted GL in it. He actually approached Ryan Reynolds, and the studio was like, no.
They had
the studio can kiss my money for it goodbye. I mean, I won't be watching it or anything.
Yeah, I listened to the Kevin Smith podcast real quick, and they said that he actually had a scene in there where the Green Lantern Corps visit Bruce Wayne, Batman, at his mansion and stuff, and they were like, the studio was like, no, we're not doing any of that. So
I don't understand.
Wait! You're not Kevin Smith?
No, I'm going to the gym. I'm going to the gym right after this. I'm going to the gym right after this.
Even if come on, I thought this was Kevin Smith.
I just like you see
Johan Hedberg goalie stick.
Oh man,
this actually, honestly, was Moose's stick. When he was traded, he gave me this. The closest I ever came to having somebody that I covered that became friends with. That's cool, like the big no-no in this business.
Yeah,
but like he wanted me to have that because of the way I covered whenever
also his blue mask, the blue Moose mask, was to me that's a very underrated mask.
I appreciate the Rick Kehoe bobblehead behind you too.
not by the artist Gunnarsson, who made that mask, who's still making everybody's masks. Pretty much, he holds that thing in the highest regard.
Really?
I love it.
It's one of his very favorites. Which one were you talking about? Where's Kehoe?
Rick Kehoe,
that's right there is a good one. Mario's here in front of Kovalev. These are like the really good bobbleheads back when they used to care about making bobbleheads that actually looked like the people. You know what I mean? Look at the Mario one. Look at it from the profile. It's insanely good.
Yeah. The Rick Kehoe one holds a special place in my heart because we had two of them growing up, and my dad had a goatee and played a lot of street hockey. So he drew a goatee onto one of the Rick Kehoes and put Dad on the helmet. So I still have that buried somewhere. But
that's really cool.
Well, this will be a good segue. We're talking Penguins hockey. We just got word that Malkin's going to be out for a week. And
John Marino's been activated.
Yeah, he's fine.
What's your?
He's been fine for a while. They've been making like 100% sure with Marino.
DK, I want to get your thoughts on two things. The two questions I had for you. One, the turnaround and goal from both goalies, and then two, the whole debacle the other night with the hit that got Brandon Tanev kicked out of the game, and what your thoughts were on that. So let's go goaltending first, since you brought up Johan Hedberg's stick. What's your thoughts on this turnaround and goal for the Pens?
Well, to me, it's pretty simple. At the points when I was criticizing Tristan Jarry, I was doing so based on a single thing. And if you guys read my stuff, you'd know it was just all about lack of aggressiveness. He wasn't coming out and challenging shooters. I kept picking on that one goal that Ivan Provorov scored in Philadelphia, in particular, where he was unscreened and just kind of glided in from the left point and just said, and actually our seat, the Flyers actually had us down in the lower bowl. So I was actually sitting right behind Provorov when he took that shot. And before he shot it, I went, like, reflexively, dude, short side. Just like, not that I wanted Provorov to score, but I'm thinking, dude, it's short side. There it is. It's like the width of Texas. Just shoot it. And there was a lot of room there, and he never came out to challenge. He also didn't come out with the stick. He wasn't being aggressive in intercepting passes that were going across his crease, the stuff that we've seen him be in the past. And that's what didn't make sense. And I kept advising people, understand that this isn't default Jarry. He didn't regress to this. Okay, he didn't regress to the default Jarry. Really is what we saw last year. He's always been that aggressive guy. Yeah, he's gone into his slumps and his funks. I mean, I'm talking about over the course of his career, going all the way back to Edmonton Oil Kings days in the WHL. He would really frustrate people. He found his aggressiveness. He found his game. I don't really want to lump him and Casey DeSmith together. I don't think they're the same caliber of goaltender, so I'd rather not say that DeSmith also found his game too. Casey DeSmith just is what he is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be nice because he's really nice. But Jarry found his aggressive streak one night. You guys remember it? Just one night. Yeah. Just everyone was saying, "Oh, we think it's coming. We think it's coming." It wasn't coming. He was a catastrophe the night before that, the game before that. But he went out and just put his mind to just challenging shooters. and he came way out of the net and got it done. What was the other question? The hit? Really?
that
You really want to talk about the hit? There's nothing to discuss.
It was it was a clean hit, and I mean, I guess it's sticking in my craw a little more because Tinordi was the one who had the hit on Malkin. I don't necessarily think
was clean.
Yeah,
Also
I
clean.
think it was but it's just okay. So one clean hit goes unnoticed, and it sends out a star for a week, and then the other hit on a defenseman that was just clearing a puck gets a guy knocked out of the game, and I think turned that game around a bit.
It did, but the other ironic thing about that is that if you watch it, for our website, we broke those two hits down pretty thoroughly with some extensive video and things. And Gino is way closer to the boards.
Yeah.
Okay. The difference was Gino had both feet on the ground. Okay. He had both skates down, and he saw Tinordi coming and he adjusted accordingly, which is what adults do in hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And Tinordi, there's a senior member of the Penguins brass who I ran into during that intermission who was incensed, to put it mildly. This was up in the back of the press box. And his point of view on this was one that I hadn't considered in the moment, but then I went back and looked at the video and it made sense. If you watch Tinordi, forget the hit. Everything about the hit is totally clean. The question is, why did Tinordi get hurt? As Tinordi's making it across the red line, he's putting all of his weight, he's putting all of his momentum and body motion into his upper body to dump the puck into the zone with force, which is what you always do as a defenseman crossing the red line. When he does that, the only skate that's touching the ground, my God, was his outside skate, meaning the one closer to the outside of the rink. This falls right under the category of what did you think was going to happen? Because when Tinordi hits him, when Tanev hits him, he has no bracing. It doesn't matter that he's a big, tough dude that fought Tom Wilson or any of that other stuff. He has no bracing. He's off balance. What happens? He goes into the boards and he hits his head. And anybody who knows about Jared Tinordi's professional career knows that he has most unfortunately had more than one of these.
Right.
I really hope, not just because he fought Wilson, I really hope he's fine.
Yeah.
This is a good, honest hockey player. I don't think a lot of people in Pittsburgh realize he was in the organization here. This is a good, honest hockey player. I hope he's fine, but he's the one that screwed up on that hit.
Yeah.
Hey, DK, so I want to get your thoughts on this because you and I have talked about hockey analytics before, and we've had our little debates. But I made the point the other night that Cody Ceci, when they signed Cody Ceci, a lot of the community went, "Oh, really? He sucks." Blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. But he has been what I would call a pleasant surprise. I feel like he's been perfect in his role. If anything, he's been better as far as his skating ability and his ability to jump up and support the puck and make outlet passes are way superior than I have ever been. Like the perception I had of him was a little off. To me, this proves that the analytic crowd does not have any kind of personal agenda. We go, and when I say we, I consider myself, because I support that community, but the community goes off of what the data says. And the data says that Cody Ceci has been a competent, quality third line defenseman, and that's really all they needed. I just want to get your thoughts.
I have a couple of thoughts, and this has nothing to do with hockey analytics.
Sure, okay.
It has to do with analytics across the board.
Okay.
I cringe just a little bit when I hear analytics community, and here's why. Because I don't know why analytics needs to have a community. Just math,
Right.
It just is, I use extensive advanced analytics in my coverage. Nobody thinks of me as part of the analytics community.
That's fair.
I just use them.
You realize there are people that cover sports that are like very anti, like they don't even want to.
Yeah, but that's the dumbest thing possible. That's like being anti-science, which not that doesn't exist.
I was gonna say, have you paid attention?
However, this is with the one button that I've pushed with the very real hockey analytics community is this: hockey continues to have insufficient data, not analytics, not output, but input. This is the problem with the Cody Ceci metrics. So I don't know that advanced analytics were all completely correct in Ottawa and Toronto, and now they're just completely correct in Pittsburgh because he magically got better. When I looked at Ceci's advanced analytics at the time of Rutherford's acquisition, the number that jumped out that hurt Ceci more than anything was one very specific piece of data. It was missed shots. He missed the net like crazy in Toronto, and they drove those people nuts. Now, sometimes that can be a perception. We had for years and years, we had people, the ongoing battle was Chris Letang versus Schultz on the right point. Okay, well, Letang always gets his shots blocked and Schultz always gets his through. And then you looked at the actual numbers and saw that the exact opposite was the case.
Yeah.
Okay, Schultz actually was, but perception can become reality.
Absolutely.
And in Toronto, because he legitimately missed the net a lot. Some of that is by design, which the objective analytics can't take into account. You know those Mike Matheson shots off the boards to yourself?
Yep.
Okay, well, you know what that went down as in the stats? MS, baby. Okay, never mind that it was a gorgeous hockey play, right?
Yeah, sometimes they tell you just to try to get it, try to get it right in that little traffic area. Yep.
Oh yeah. Well, there's other times when Sid is the way Sid plants himself to the right side of the pipe. That both Letang and Schultz would tell me that they would do that on purpose because they knew Sid could play the carom.
Absolutely.
So do you get an MS for that? Sure. The problem with hockey remains is its lack of data and input. When you compare, for example, line drive rate, line drive trajectory, and you knew I was going to baseball with this. But even in the span, guys, in the span of less than 2 years, football has rocketed past hockey in this regard.
And even that's not perfect either. There's still a lot of subjective stuff.
Have you seen Next Gen Stats on the NFL site? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is.
This has the answer to everything you're looking for. Well, like, why did I don't want to change the subject here to football.
No, you're fine.
Why did Ben Roethlisberger get rid of the ball so fast? And they would just have everything was there. 2.7 second release is the fastest in the NFL. Why? Because he knew his line couldn't hold their blocks, and he was just getting rid of that damn ball.
Do you think that the
hockey has none of this? That's my point.
Well, that was going to be the follow up. Do you think that the new deal with ESPN is going to change that? It's going to force the NHL's hand to try to do something?
I think just to complete the thought first, Ed, the hockey is still, advanced analytics are still feasting off a single metric, and it is the shot attempt. Every single advanced analytics somehow, some way, shape, or form is based off the pure shot attempt. And while I appreciate that, it is not all-encompassing. Good luck, for example, we mentioned breakout rates. Find that. Good luck.
I know Jesse Marshall has some transition data,
but you're doing it raw and you're tracking it yourself. There was one dude in Ontario that did it 2-3 years ago, and then he stopped because he was like, "There's no reason that you shouldn't be able to track a simple breakout pass or a breakout."
And that's what how I would judge defensemen on that more than anything. Can you get the puck out of the zone? Yeah,
Mike Matheson. I mean, you can talk about all the headaches he is in his own end, and he is
a headache.
Oh my God, he's an adventure.
I said that.
He skate.
I said
but that's it, man.
Everything
he's Kovalev.
Everything bad that people have said about Chris Letang is extremely true when it comes to Mike Matheson. Like,
yeah, but boy, I love watching Matheson skate though, man. I can't wait to get to a live game so I can watch him just skate around.
You'll love it.
You'll
love it. Skater. I did that for one. I did it for, we have a weekly feature that we call Drive to the Net, which is more of an advanced like this. It's an analytics / video type of piece. And I did the one last week for us based on Matheson. And I spent basically live just eyeballs on 5 the whole time. I just watched his game. And I mean, believe me, some of it was okay, but he is something special. With his acceleration, his ability to pull away from people, his boldness. But man, he's something special in his own end too. He really is. Not in a good way.
Yeah.
What else? Did we have anything else on Tanev? I mean, I don't know.
No, that was just I wanted to get
You
your
realize
take on
that-
the hit. I
realized that Jack Edwards and Andy Brickley
both
on
agreed
Nesson-
that that was a bad
not
call.
just agreed. They were ballistic about agreeing.
Yeah.
They were just like, we can't believe this. At one point, Brickley, these two, you understand, these two are the biggest homers.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah, no, there's nobody a bigger homer
Okay.
than Jack Edwards. Yeah.
Well, Brickley's he's right in that category. Former
Sure.
Penguin, by the way. Brickley, he's right up there in that sense. And they were watching. You remember when Tanev was standing over in the bench? There he is going, whatever. And these guys are like going, yeah, he should be doing that. Bruce Cassidy said nothing about it after the game. None of the Bruins said anything about it. Why? Because they know what happened.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chad.
No, before we go to Steelers. So a few weeks ago, we had Pomp on, we had Steve Mears on, and we were talking about, like, at that point, the Penguins weren't playing well. This is right before the turnaround, about a month ago. And me and Eddie were like, this might be the first time in the Crosby era, especially with Hextall's track record, where they might actually be like offloading assets to maybe, say like this year, this isn't a championship team, but now with this schedule, they might be in competition to like realistically win this division. So has your perception of this team drastically changed? And are you like now to the point, oh my God, here comes, we're gonna be looking for them to trade Samuel Polian or someone like that to try to get somebody else? Like has your perception completely 180 like ours has, or what?
No. I do believe in watching the games and feeling things like down to here. And when I'm watching this team, I still don't have that. I believe
they're a borderline playoff team.
I believe in their effort level. I believe that they've come together in that regard. And strangely enough, I believe that more strongly after the loss Tuesday night than I might have after any other game this season. I mean, that was some serious compete level out there, to borrow Sid's term. They were outstanding in that sense. I've been really encouraged by the fact that their best players have been their best players the past 2 weeks. How about that, huh? Sid, Gino, Letang, and Jari.
I mean, Letang and Gino, complete 180s from what they were doing. Yeah,
but Sid's also gone up a notch as well. I mean, nobody talked about Sid when he wasn't scoring 5-on-5, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the other name I'd throw in there too. You were talking about the Stars being the Stars, is because he's a top 6 guy. I think that Kapanen has been absolutely.
He's been a big jolt,
and he's exciting to watch. He's fast. Yeah. He knows what to do with the puck.
He had a couple games there for sure. I mean, Jake's also scoring, and Jake's starting to put the puck in from a distance. So some of these things are all encouraging and everything, but until you see a consistent flow, a consistent rhythm, don't bring any 2016 or 2017 into any discussion.
The thing that worries me is like the night that they beat the Bruins 4-1, they were outshot 43 to
42-27, but the high danger chances overall for the game were 5-5.
Okay.
So not 5-on-5. 5-5,
right. Okay.
And the Bruins did the thing that Boston's been doing forever, where they just cross the blue line and let it rip, and they run up a shot total. I wasn't impressed by the 42-27. I thought that the Penguins played very well defensively in that game, actually. And when I brought that up with Sullivan after the game, he really embraced the question. Is if you've ever seen how he does that when he hears a question where he goes, I thought our guys were strong on the puck. We played good hockey. I thought they were really good that night. I'm encouraged by the fact that the East Division has not proven to be this overwhelming bear for them. They are in fact 8-4 against the two teams ahead of them in the standings, the Capitals and the Islanders. They have accounted for nearly half of those teams' combined losses. Look it up. The fact that the Flyers have fallen off a cliff has basically cleared a playoff spot for Pittsburgh.
And Boston's really hasn't been playing well either. Yeah.
Yeah, and Boston's really banged up on the back end, which is going to hurt. Eventually, they'll get those guys back and they'll make a run. But the Flyers aren't about to solve their goaltending with the snap of the finger. So that part's encouraging. But the idea that this and that, and to answer your question, whether or not you're going to make a trade based on that or give up draft picks or prospects, boy, I sure hope not.
Yeah, me too.
I would just go with this team.
Trading draft picks.
If anything, just stay packed. Yeah, just stay packed and let it ride.
You don't have to stay pat. This is where these discussions can always feel like so black and white and all or nothing. It doesn't have to be. Okay, you have gray areas in this. Find yourself a player on the waiver wire who's better than Mark Jankowski.
Bobby Ryan.
Do you know what days of the week you can find a player on the waiver wire better than Mark Jankowski?
Put your skates on, DK. Go out there.
Every
you're ready.
bleeping day. I was both surprised and disappointed that they didn't go bring Dominic Simone back when he was sitting on waivers.
Me too.
He's a penalty killer. He can play every position. He can slide up and down your lineup, and he wouldn't hurt your cap at all because he's getting minimum wage. It's not the same GM, but I'm sure he would have gotten a lot of endorsements from that room to go bring Dom back.
From Sid.
From Sid, from Jake, from everybody. They love him. I mean, he's a really smart player. The fact that he doesn't finish is his singular flaw. Yeah. Really, it's the only thing he can't do.
You're preaching to the choir. To the choir.
I think you could make moves like that. I don't think it needs to be Rutherford style or Rutherford scope.
Yeah, all or nothing. All or nothing. No, all or nothing. Yeah.
So Steelers thoughts. We'll table the Penguins conversation because I know you've got a lot going on. What's your thoughts on free agency or the lack of free agency with the Steelers?
Yeah, like we were talking about yesterday with not making a. Well, Eddie said that they didn't bring Alu. That might have been out of their hands because apparently he wanted to go back there for personal reasons.
Yeah. I mean, you can always mitigate those things. I believe personal reasons about as much as I believe that J.J. Watt was going to come to Pittsburgh to play with his brothers. Okay, there's always a controllable in the equation. Tyson Alualu is the one that was the biggest mystery for me because he got 2 years and $6 million. That was eminently affordable. If you're releasing Vince Williams, which I kind of get, even though it makes me whatever, because Vince meant so much in that room to those guys.
And they don't have a lot of inside linebacker depth either.
No, they in fact, they have to replace Vince basically now. Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing them do that with LJ Fort, who just became available from Baltimore. But I've been disappointed by a couple of things. One is losing Alualu, for whom you have no replacement in the fold.
And he was so good.
Yeah. And there's no one here who can do that. It's not like you can take Carlos Davis and say, hey, Carlos, learn nose tackle. Alualu did it because he's really experienced and advanced and smart out there.
And he has a big pedigree. He was like a top 10 pick when he came out. I mean,
it was with San Diego. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a really, really good football player. I don't understand that one, especially when you cleared other space. But here's another thing, and I don't hear anybody talking about this. If you're losing these guys, if you watching these guys walk away, and at the same time you're not doing everything within your power to clear your own cap space, meaning you still haven't restructured Stephon Tuitt, okay? You still haven't restructured or discussed something with Steven Nelson. You haven't extended Joe Hayden, what was that one?
Chris Boswell, you could restructure him as well.
Boswell's only about $1 million, but yes, Boswell, you can gain about $1 million off of. But if you're doing things like putting Vinny out on the street for $4 million, you can restructure Bos for $1 million.
Right.
You can do these things, and they've done none of them. And they watched Tyson Alualu walk away. Like, you can argue with the other ones. You can say, meaning on their behalf.
Right.
And say, all right, I mean, Hilton got quite a bit.
He's good, man. He's good.
He's really good, but their counter to that, Chad, is going to be that Cam Sutton can do all of those things.
It was going to be either Sutton or Hilton, and Sutton was less money, and
because Sutton can move outside when Joe's done.
Right.
Okay. The only catch is, and this is what I think you're getting at here, is can he get to the quarterback the way Hilton was? Remember, first 3-4 games. I mean, Hilton was just a machine, leading the team in sacks.
I mean, other teams talk about. Like when you,
how do you stop him?
Yeah.
And if you let these guys go, why aren't you restructuring other? What are you doing here? Like, that's the part that so maybe they did restructure these guys and they haven't let anybody know, which is really unlikely the way the NFL community is.
Yeah.
Or they're just they have something in mind and their history is that they don't restructure until they feel they have to. Okay. So if they wait and they see how the free agent market shakes out and they go, all right, now, where are we? What are we missing? Okay, well, we really need a nose tackle and we really need a center. Let's start there. Okay, which they really do, both positions.
Nick Martin. Nick Martin.
Oh, you're gonna need somebody. I mean, it's not gonna be BJ Finney,
and it's not gonna be Hausensauer.
No, it's not gonna be JC either. It's gonna be somebody still from the outside, but it is gonna be from the outside.
Right.
So either you have money or you're about to have money and you haven't bothered to clear it out yet, which tells me that they actually wanted and or expected everything that you saw. And that's where I just get, like, I don't ever pretend to have all the answers in this.
Right, no.
Okay, and where I just go, what? Not even in a critical way, but legitimately, like, what? What did you just do here? But since we don't have access to them this time of year, we can't get answers.
And I'm looking at the needs, like all the real needs they have, and they might be able to get 3 to 4 of those needs answered potentially in the draft. But they have what I would consider about 7 glaring needs: running back, tight end, center, offensive tackle, defensive tackle, inside linebacker, and edge.
You mean nose tackle?
Nose tackle.
Nose tackle. Yeah. They think they have DT depth.
No, yeah, they're fine.
They're also very likely to keep Eric Ebron. So when you're talking about,
I still think they need a tight end on top of that.
So do I. But I think my thing, and I know Dale Lawley, who covers the Steelers for us, disagrees with this. I'd rather just see them get some blocker type, Matt Spaeth Part 2.
Right. Yeah.
Because I need to get that yard, 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. I want that yard.
Ebron is fantastic, and I know Ben everything about that's fine. But he just, God bless his heart, he tries to block. I'm not questioning his effort, but he can't block.
I am.
Okay.
He doesn't try. No, he does not try to block. We'll never disagree with anything more than what you just said there. But I think the rest of the positions that you outlined there, Chad, are but where we're talking about the draft. Running back and offensive tackle, both are available and ready for you right there in the first 2 rounds. Now, it would be very Steelers. It would be so Steelers.
I already know what
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Go ahead. Because they're going to find a linebacker. They're just going to do it, damn it. They're just going to do it.
My God.
You know that those guys can't take their eyes off of a linebacker.
And we all 3 of us know that Chuck from McKeesport will love that pick too.
There's that, and then there's going to be a TikTok with a Yinzer literally throwing something through his TV as they announce.
The one good thing is that the draft is not thick with tight ends. There's not a lot there. And
Tommy Tremble from Notre Dame.
If you don't get a tight end really early in general, then you've got a project on your hands.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of that position and the type of athletes that get moved to that position. They tend to be thinner offensive linemen or wide receivers who were too thick to stay at wide receiver. So they end up having to get retrained once they come to the NFL. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I don't think you're going to see a drafting of a tight end. Go get yourself a blocker. But then you know what? The real fuss is going to be, the draft is so deep in tackles. It's a lot like the one last year was with wide receivers. This one also is deep, again, in wide receivers. Where do you draw the cutoff for these running backs? Do you say to yourself, damn it, we got to have either Najee Harris or Travis Etienne in a Pittsburgh uniform? One way or another, that's where pick 24 overall is going. Do you do that?
I do.
If one of those tackles falls, though?
I'd take tackle over running back.
Me and Eddie definitely disagree on this. To me, you have a 40-year-old Ben Roethlisberger and a team that could not run the ball to save their life last year. To me, a Najee Harris or a Travis Etienne moves that needle and takes so much needed pressure off of a just limited passing game and a limited offense.
But offensive line, I was just going to say, offensive line goes towards solving both of those problems. It helps the pass blocking and it gives you a better chance in the run game. I think offensive line, it all starts there, man. You have to go, in my opinion, you got to go after a tackle or a center in the first round.
Yeah, there's I'm all in favor of the impact running back. To me, I happen to trust both Zach Banner and Chuks Okorafor, and I know I don't have much cause to trust Zach Banner being.
I'm with you on Banner.
Chuks is a pretty good football player. I wouldn't underestimate Chuks. I know this that when we were at Heinz Field for training camp, which remember was at Heinz Field, and there were only like 7 of us allowed in the entire stadium, which was wild, by the way. There's like this gigantic sea of yellow, and there's just a handful of you sitting there spread out in one section. The Steelers scouts happen to be sitting in the section behind us. Like, the Steelers are so secretive, like you don't even know they have scouts. Like, it's not like when we see scouts from the Penguins or Pirates, like we actually know who they are.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, you're like, hey, Steelers. You're like, whoa, they actually have scouts. Like, that's crazy, man. So anyway, these guys are sitting behind us, and you're just kind of shooting the breeze or whatever. They love Zach Banner. They felt that he was outperforming everyone on the offensive line in that camp. And I'm including the vets. I'm including Villanueva, Marquise, Dave, everybody across the line, that Zach Banner was the best. And you know who Banner was lined up against through the entirety of that camp? TJ,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So think about that. It was really, really unfortunate that he got hurt. I love the idea of tackle depth, tackle security, but I don't love the idea of starting a tackle right away as a first rounder. It's a difficult position. It's tough to trust them with a franchise quarterback on the blind side.
Yeah. The last question I have for you, we can't have you on the show and me not bring baseball up. What's your, I know you've been really talking up the idea that the Pirates are playing better than they were last spring. Whatever that means, we'll find out. But I know that their ERA was, for a while, I don't know if it still is, but it was a 2.93 ERA for the spring, which was at the time #1 in baseball. What do you see? Is there any encouragement to look forward to this season? And then the second question is Kumar Rocker or Al Leiter's kid, Jack Leiter?
Real quickly on the second one, it's still Kumar's to lose. I mean, he's got the bigger, more durable frame. When you watch Jack Leiter pitch, he kind of reminds you a little of Pedro Martinez, and by that I'm talking about stature. Okay, it looks like a little. He's not a big guy. And when it comes to
curveball, though, man, whew.
I know, but Kumar's got air.
Yeah, I know he does.
Okay, and I wouldn't. A GM is always going to take the bigger frame because it leads to pitcher health, because there's more of the body that's going into the pitch, less pressure on the elbow and the shoulder and everything else. Kumar throws like a right-handed CC Sabathia, where it looks like he's just farting around out there. It's great to watch. It's really, really fun.
The little bit I've seen of him, man,
it's breathtaking, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's not that game.
What he does to right-handers is criminal.
Is that was the game against Duke, where they were last year or two seasons ago, where they were toying around with him in the 6th inning, and he set it was the third out of the inning. He just goes 1, 2, 3 fastballs right by the dude, and I guess they called a timeout prior to that, and he walks off the field, and as he's walking off, he's like, call another timeout
Yeah.
I love his attitude, man. He's got a chip on his shoulder.
He's got some spunk to him too.
Yeah,
we went to Georgia. Our site went to Georgia and interviewed his family and his high school coaches and everything. And he is someone that Pittsburgh will fall in love with from, I don't want to say day one, because it'll be day -180 because it'll be from the time he's in the minors.
I missed that. Is that interview already out, or is that something that's already on your site?
Tom Reed, he's our guy that does our enterprise stuff.
I must have missed that. I want to check that out.
It was last September. I can send you a link.
Okay.
The other thing is, understand one thing: the Pirates play in Bradenton, Florida, which is the home to almost all of the home runs that get hit in the Grapefruit League. If you've ever been to Bradenton, you'll know why. All you got to do is loft the thing and just let the wind do its magic. Okay. It's an amazing place. There are things called Bradenton doubles. There's a really high sky there. Every outfielder that comes in there can't believe how hard it is to catch a fly ball. To have a 2.93 ERA in that place is like doing it at Coors Field. Okay. The Pirates have pitched extremely well, but what's been most encouraging about that is that it hasn't been happening in a fluky way. They've got kids out there who are just gunning the ball. They're bringing it. They're bringing it at 97, 98. They're throwing with hard bite. Remember one thing about the 2020 Pirates. The biggest problem that they had was that they had historically terrible pitching. You know how many of those guys are back?
Not many.
Very, very few.
Not many.
Okay. So the idea of thinking of this Pirates team as some kind of continuity of 2020 is exactly the wrong approach here. They are pitching very well. They're catching everything. This is going to be not a great defensive team because you've still got Polanco out there in right field, but it's going to be a team that catches most everything that's hit its way. Does that make sense? Like you're not going to see super great range. But if you think of a team full of Adam Frazier's, like Frazier never makes the highlights, but he's in the Gold Glove finalists every year.
He's just solid, man. He's always in position.
It comes his way. Colin Moran was a train wreck at third base. He's actually been really good at first. Know why? Doesn't have to move his feet. Yeah, you know.
And that third baseman we got, I hear he's decent, right? I think he might have a history. He might have a.
He's something else. I'm swearing off of pumping up Key. I just am because I just want everybody to see him. You don't need nobody needs me.
I can't wait.
But again, Chad and I were talking earlier in this about advanced analytics, and one of the common things that you hear from the people who just instinctively or reflexively bash the Pirates is, "Who's Jacob Stallings? Wouldn't start for any other team." And who's Jacob Stallings? What is it? Because they were used to having Russell Martin and Francisco Cervelli, who came from the Yankees, and therefore they must be really good.
Right.
Jacob Stallings, in advanced analytics, defensively, isn't the best defensive catcher in baseball. He is by far the best defensive catcher in baseball in terms of his pitch framing. What's pitch framing? Who made that up? In terms of his throws, well, that everybody understands. He throws out guys trying to steal. Well, that we understand because Johnny Bench used to do that.
Yeah.
And on top of that, Stallings hits 265, 270. He's a reliable bat. He's one of the few bats that didn't die last year. My skepticism about 2021 as it relates to the Pirates, first of all, statement about 2021, it really doesn't matter.
No.
The second thing, I don't know that they're going to hit. I believe that Reynolds will come back, but not all the way. I mean, he went from 320 to 183.
It was drastic. Yeah, it was drastic.
Kevin Newman will bounce back. Moran will compensate for a low on base percentage, a low batting average, really, with total bases. We saw that last year. We saw his power. Who else? Center field. I think you're going to like Anthony Alford. I like a lot.
Is there any hope for Polanco? Like, is there any hope for him to turn this around?
It just doesn't matter. I mean, he's writing out an $11 million deal.
Yeah.
I mean, right now he's murdering the ball. It just doesn't matter. The same goes for Adam Frazier. Adam Frazier is, as I speak, hitting 683 in spring training. Okay. Now he's on the trading block. They want to get prospects for him so that they can split second base and shortstop between Cole Tucker, Kevin Newman, and Eric Gonzalez. Are they going to stink? The objective answer to that is there's really not a reason for them to stink. Okay, I'm not being some kind of weirdo optimist here or Pollyanna. Okay, I've laid eyes on them. Steve Brault said the other day, this was great. He said, one of the young players came up to him the other day in Bradenton and said, hey, why exactly is this team supposed to suck?
Wow.
And he didn't have an answer. So I ended up doing a whole series of podcasts this week about why is it that this facet of the Pirates is supposed to suck? And every time we broke it down and went through real numbers and real analytics, there are some question marks. There are some swing votes. If Mitch Keller keeps pitching the way he has this spring, they are screwed, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, they are screwed times 20. But if he is also the number 7 prospect in all of baseball, as he was a year and a half ago, and he matures into that, which he's certainly capable of, now you're having a completely different discussion. I'll tell you what, you guys made a reference to Yinzers. There is nothing right now more Yinzery in this city than mentioning the word Pirates and getting all the standard nutting, payroll, this and that and whatever. Guys, this is the first time in my life that they're doing the intelligent thing.
DK, this is as excited as I've been for the Pirates since the
yes,
since those playoff runs.
That I'm the pessimist here. I'm rating that kind of that category. The only thing I believe that I have the right, and many others have the right to. Okay, that's fine. I see what you're saying, but I still can't blame anybody for saying.
Oh, of course not.
Show me or prove it to me,
dude. I said this. Yeah. Dude, I said this to Bob Nutting's face last January. Okay, I have it on video, okay, where I challenged him as to how he could possibly watch that 2015 team win 98 games and then not tell his comatose general manager, hey, you need to do something with this. Instead, watches the general manager go get Ryan Vogelsong, Juan Nicasio, and John Neese for Neil Walker. That was Huntington's offseason. Okay, this is where your ownership, everyone gets on Nutting about payroll. That's never been Nutting's shortfall. Nutting's shortfall, as compared to Rooney and Mario, first of all, Rooney and Mario, if they weren't in cap leagues, they wouldn't be spending either. So you throw that thing out of this. I mean, we saw what Mario was like as an owner in a non-cap league. Where were they? Last in payroll, last in attendance. All right. The difference is that Mario and Rooney, when they see stuff they don't like, they act on it. And Bob wasn't going to act on anything that he saw last season. He wasn't.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
And when I started that whole our team, not his campaign, the pressure wasn't to get Bob to sell. I'm not an idiot. He's not selling the team.
Yeah.
The very clear stated pressure that I had when I had that was the whole Twitter hashtag thing, was to fire everyone. I began the first 2 words of every column that I wrote on baseball for 2 full months with the same 2 words: fire everyone, fire everyone.
And also,
couldn't have been clearer.
And also, lastly, the last thing, because I know you got to go soon, but be transparent. Don't sell Garrett Cole and Andrew McCutchen for people, and then have people come on 93.7 The Fan when I'm driving to work and say, "Oh, we believe we're competing for a World Series." Don't insult my intelligence. Don't try to sell me stuff that isn't.
That was more of a Huntington thing than anything else.
Yeah, I just that rubs me the wrong way. I like the New York Rangers approach where they're like, "Hey, we're selling assets like we're Michael Jackson, but we're going to be good in a few years if you guys just stay with us."
And then the Canucks followed that, and there are other teams that have done that. The Pirates, I feel, were people keep waiting for them to use the word rebuilding. Do you know why they're not using the word rebuilding? Because you can't rebuild what was never built.
Oh man, okay? I'm about to put that on my wall right there.
And if everyone says same old with the Pirates. Look, they're doing it again. They have literally never taken this approach.
Listen,
the previous general manager was sending Garrett Cole out for 3 4A guys and 1 prospect, and a mediocre one at that in Jason Martin. They sent out. Go all the way back to the beginning of his tenure. Jason Bay and Xavier Nady, these guys were moved out for a bunch of Jose Tabatas that would come in and just roster fillers.
No, I mean, look,
Save
when
face.
I'll tell you when I got excited was when they traded the two pitchers and the haul they got for the two pitchers. It was 8 or 9 prospects. All of them were in those teams.
You talking about Musgrove?
Musgrove and was it Trevor?
And Tyon.
Tyon and Musgrove. When they traded the two of them and got the haul that they got for those two, that's when
Musgrove
I
deal was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was better. It was better, borderline better than the Garrett Cole.
It was so good that even me, I was telling Eddie, like, I'm starting.
It was way better.
I'm starting to like. Oh, I'm still waiting to see, but I am starting to come around to like. Okay, I am optimistic about this new general manager and this new front office.
I love Cherington, man. I really do.
New. He's new, but he's not. He's also won a World Series.
Right.
He's done this. He's done it in other markets. I'll tell you this, something that I heard when I was in Bradenton a couple of weeks ago from them. They are not the bragging types. They're not really wired that way.
Mm-hmm.
They're way more of the Joe Cool analytic types. But they feel like the Tyon trade in particular and getting Miguel Yajure. Wait till you see this kid if you haven't yet. He won't be with Pittsburgh to start, but he will be at some point in the season. He just has some control stuff that he's got to settle down right now.
Okay.
His off-speed stuff, you will just when you see it.
I feel like pitching ninja Rob Friedman may have.
Yajure, he's picked on you. He loves Yajure.
I saw him a couple of times. Yeah.
Pitching ninja, he went after Yajure, meaning in a good way, about a week ago after one outing that he had up in Tampa against the Yankees. Bottom line is they're doing something they've never done before. They're doing it the only way you can win in a non-cap, unfair, imbalanced league. None of this has a damn thing to do with Nutting other than that he finally fired the guys before him and he made really two extraordinary hires in Travis Williams from the Penguins by way of Islanders and to run the business in a very Penguins-like way.
Mm-hmm.
And by bringing in Cherington, he is beyond perfect for this organization. And I think for this city, because unlike Cherington, he isn't full of you-know-what. He'll bore people when they hear him because he does go with the analytics stuff. And some people just one ear and out the other when they hear it, no matter how entertainingly it's phrased. But he's also not full of you-know-what.
Yeah.
Eventually, and people are going to see that.
DK, I got about 15 more Pirates questions for you. We've got to have you on just a Pirates show, which is like not normal for us, but I'm excited about baseball season. If for no other fact, I get to go to a couple of games this year and just get out and do something.
Well, you want to know what's cool too? This is going to sound like they're a sponsor of ours, and they're not. The Altoona Curve is only an hour away.
Mm-hmm.
And wait till you see what percentage of the Pirates' top 30 prospects are going to end up in Altoona. I know the people out there are excited.
Yeah.
It's been a while since Altoona's had a team like the one they're about to have, where they know that every kid they're watching on the field has a realistic or excellent chance to get to Pittsburgh and to make an impact in the majors. And there's going to be some special talents there.
Yeah.
So that part is fun too. And it's only an hour away. It's something that I don't think enough people around here take advantage of.
And it's such a fun time too. Altoona Curve games it's such a good time to get out there. It's just minor league baseball.
What a setting! I mean, I don't know. There's many better settings in the minors than Altoona up there in the hills. Beautiful.
First time I was there was when Steven Strasburg had his debut against the Curve, and
that didn't go well for the Curve.
No, it didn't. But it was. I'll tell you what, man, that was a lot of fun, and I've never seen a media circus like that at a minor league.
No, that's different.
That was incredible.
I covered Strasburg's first ever game in the majors.
The 14 strikeout game.
It was down. Yeah, it was down in Washington. It was 14 Ks
in 7 innings. Yeah.
And all I remember from that game, what stands out more than anything else, was poor Andy LaRoche. Remember Andy?
Yeah.
Andy in that game, if he had taken a bat up to the plate the size of, I'm going to date myself here with the reference, but Bam Bam from the Flintstones.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Giant bat that was like as big as like the 7 tennis rackets. If he had taken one of those up there, he wouldn't have touched the ball
touched the ball
because he was so late. It was unbelievable. The catcher was throwing the ball back to Strasburg when Andy was finishing his swing.
Yeah, I remember watching that game on the couch with my dad. That was something, man. That dude was special when he came up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But DK, we appreciate you coming on, man. I know we went way over time, but I mean that's just the kind of guy you are. We get rolling, and then it just goes from there. We appreciate you. If you're not already subscribed to DK Pittsburgh Sports, I don't know why. Hop on that now.
Sign up.
There's a lot of good content there. So good, in fact, that DK Pittsburgh Sports just basically took over the final word on WPXI the other day.
Yeah, how about
literally
that,
everybody on the show was one
They
of your
didn't have
guys,
to change the logo at the bottom.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Now, Dejan, anytime you come on here, we really appreciate it because we know how busy you are, and to come on, we always love when the big names around here come on our little podcast to show love back. I know you were talking about on Twitter the one day, you and I were talking about how like it seems like right now it's like, because I've been doing the blogging thing for a long time, and for a while there it was really kind of toxic, and there was like right now it kind of seems like a lot of
With
content
podcasts?
creators creators right now are lifting each other up because we
it'll can I be the cynic on this count?
yeah, sure.
It'll change.
Oh, I know. Oh, trust me. I know.
Everybody is really collegial at the outset. Hey, Chad, seriously, remember when our site launched?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, look at that. It's so cool. Wow, what a great thing. And it was so popular and everything else. And then what ends up happening after about 6-7 months, and all the mainstream guys were like, hey, wait a second. People are actually subscribing to that thing.
Yeah.
wait, not cute, not
yeah.
cool.
No, I got you, but
And then they started coming after us, and then they made up stuff, and they tried like hell to hurt us, and and did all kinds of, in some cases, just horrible things. And it was just like, seriously, can we just function? I mean, we're not coming after you. And that happened. The blogosphere started that way, the way you're describing, and I think in podcasts right now it is, but it won't.
Yeah.
Sometimes all it takes is one bad apple, or one specifically, to have just a ton of success, like out of nowhere. Like the Yins Hers one jumps out at me right now. It's really good. It's really well done, and everybody's saying this is great. This is great. But you know what? They have Juju on, and they get somebody else on, and you're going to watch. Somebody's going to come start sniping at them, and we've had Trey Essex, Chris Wormley. We had I'm just saying. But you're going to have.
Oh, I know.
That's the nature of social media, and that's also the nature of mainstream media.
Yeah,
it's extremely, extremely competitive, in a really. In a way, I don't know that I'd feel comfortable sharing with you guys, really vicious way. And that was why they came after us. Because like I said, we were all cute and cool until we started stealing some of their employees, and people came over, and then they started losing their subscribers, and we're sitting here growing and throwing bashes and parties and everything else. And it was like, got to cut them down.
Yep. Yeah.
And they tried, and guess what? They're still losing between 20 and 30 million a year, depending on whether or not which newspaper you're talking about. And we aren't.
Which is terrible, because Eddie and I we collab with other podcasts, and we're like, okay, what can, instead of like, oh, don't go to these guys, we're like, what can we do to make our show more appealing? You know,
just like I tell everybody on our staff, and I've done this since day one. Worry about yourselves.
Exactly.
Take care of your own.
If you have a good product and you enjoy what you're doing, and I think that's our biggest appeal, is people know that Eddie and I, whether we made money, are not doing this, we just love talking sports and talking sports, not the TMZ stuff. We like talking about the backup center and stuff like that. and there's a niche audience for that, because that's what some people want to hear. They don't want to hear about Juju going to parties and stuff like that. So.
Well, on that note, I got to get back to writing about Juju going to
DK, thank you so much. Remember, subscribe. If you're not subscribed to DK, you probably are already, but make sure you do. He's one of the best. He's one of the best in the business, and we thank you so much.
It's about the staff. It's not about.
And let's get the Green Lantern back, man.
Yes, yes.
Back. All right, DK. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
All right, guys. Take care.
Yep.
Too.
Thanks for listening to 412 Sports Talk. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you like the show, leave us a review, and be sure to tell a friend about your source for all things Pittsburgh sports. Find us on Twitter at MadChad412 and at Eddie_P_412.